Hi, this is CJ with CJatCompRCC.com, and in this series of videos I'm going to be assembling the 3Racing Sakura Ultimate Touring Car. In this segment, the kit's pretty much built, just putting on finishing touches. I've cut all the pieces out, body mounts, front bumper, strap for the battery, floating servo mount, linkage for steering. I'm going to stop talking unless there's something along the way that I really think I need to tell you about. Otherwise, this video is just going to be sped up so you can just see the general process. I'm adding a little spacer, about 1 millimeter, and this could just be me being a little overly critical or whatever. This steering arm with this servo is a little bit of an angle, and I'd like it to be as straight as possible. So I'm going to use the pink spacer that they provide and a 1 millimeter aluminum washer as well, and just see how that looks. I may go down to smaller size. Just see how that looks like it's going to line up. That looks like it's going to be almost a perfect straight line. I think I'm going to go ahead and use that. This connection here now is almost a straight line to the bell crank. You know, like I said, it may just be the height of the servo. I wanted to make it as straight as possible, and that little bit of a shim helped. This is one of the things that I think is a nice feature they added, and it looks like this can be adjusted, that you can put spacers in here. This is the center body mount support. That goes right here on the front of the shock tower, and that is supposed to prevent the body of your car from deforming at high speed, the air pressing the hood down and misshaping the body. This goes right on the center line, and these spacers provide a bump stop for your battery pack, and that keeps it from sliding over into the belt, keeps it in its position. That stops your battery, and you can add or remove shims to move the battery further out. That's one of the features of this car, is being able to move the battery left and right with a handful of different spacers, and that way when you're trying to balance the car on its center axis, you can start by moving the battery back and forth and then add weight instead of only having the option to add weight. I think that's a nice feature. I'm going to slide a battery pack in here as I'm doing this next step, see how many shims I'm going to need. And for where that is set up right now, I don't need any for this particular battery pack. That's what these are for. And there's our battery, very securely held in this place. That's a very nice setup, and with those you've got a thicker pair and a thinner pair. So this is the closest to center line that the battery would go. This would be the next size. These would be your third size. And your fourth size would be a combination of these two shims, and they provide extra screws that are longer for using those. I think one of the first things that I'm going to order for this car is spares for the battery mounts and the bumper assembly. Not that they're weak. I think this is a very nice system, but a side impact from another car could cause these to break. And of course, you know, heavy front impacts, bumpers do take a beating, and having these and this assembly handy at the track would probably be a wise idea. As I mentioned in another video, I'm going to pick up a handful of spare items for suspension as well, things that tend to get broken in crashes, and just have those on hand so when I go to the track, if something breaks, it doesn't end my day. I can fix the car right there. This is kind of a nice feature. Depending on the shape of the body you're using, because these are button head and not countersunk, you could put this mount on either side, which would give you a little bit of adjustability as far as, depending on the shape of the body, whether you want the mount to be forward or back. Okay, and the last items, these guys just go through here with a pin. I'm not going to bother installing these at this moment because I'm still in the process of prepping the body for this, so I'll do that later. And there's a couple other items. They do give you a spare This little guy here, that goes on your steering linkage. That's just a standard ball cup, as are these. And there are at least a half dozen, maybe 8 extra ball cups in the kit, so you have spares. This is kind of a unique item. It's their design, and that keeps this linkage here level. And there's a couple other little items, and what these do, these are mounts for a fan, and that allows you to mount a 30 or 40 millimeter fan that will help draw air through the motor. Right now it's the middle of winter. Even the indoor track is pretty cool inside, so I'm not going to mount a fan on at this time. I'll definitely save these for summer because we get some very hot summers here. The car does come with a nice set of wheels. My track for the spec classes, you need to run their wheels and tires. You know, depending on where I'm racing later this year, I may have use for these. But right now, I'm just going to buy the pre-mounted wheels and tires from the hobby shop where I race indoors during the winter. There's the car. I'll do another video doing motor and speed control mount, and then of course taking it to the track, doing a little tuning. One more little note here. In the direction book, there is a completed setup sheet. This is probably the best first run standard kind of setup. It gives you everything you need, tow, etc. And this gives you a guide on how to use the blank setup sheet that they provide. I'm not going to cut this one out because on the website for 3Racing you will find not only this entire manual, but these setup sheets in PDF format and also editable, so that you can print these out off your computer and have, you know, a small stack of them with you at the track and fill them out, test, make changes, and track your changes. Keep best set up for if you run carpet and outdoors, you know, what works best on asphalt, what works best indoors on carpet.